right now.
All right, welcome everyone. I see a lot of really familiar faces here, so welcome and thank you for coming. I met Peter probably a year or two ago through his wife Deborah, and immediately fell in love with Peter's work. Spent a little time with him, and his stories are just wonderful. He's lived a full life as you will hear today, and he's been creating some really amazing artwork. This is Peter Bradley, and then there's a scrolling video going on of some photographs, some of the events that they'll be talking about in the discussion, some of Peter's older work, and then some of his new work. Peter's being interviewed by a very good friend of mine, Ellen Martin, and I'm thrilled that she's here to do this and join with me today in this venture. I've known Ellen for a very long time. Ellen and I have worked on a number of projects together when I ran a gallery in Red Bank, New Jersey, and we worked together in pulling the art community together, and it was a big thrill, and I'm really pleased to be doing it again here. Ellen is an independent curator. She curates shows down in Monmouth County, and she also runs a website called the New Jersey Artist Registry, which is a fantastic website and a really valuable resource for artists in New Jersey and those looking for some really creative artists. So, I am going to pass the microphone over to Ellen and Peter. Okay, I'll turn it over to Ellen.
Thanks everyone for coming. Thank you, Robert, for inviting me. Thank you, Peter, for having me and letting me paint with you yesterday. So Peter was born in 1940 in a small town called Connellsville, Pennsylvania. And he was adopted by a woman called Edith Ramsey Strange when at 3 days or something like that. And she saw something very special in Peter and encouraged him to start drawing right away. So Peter, can you tell us a little bit about what it was like for you growing up and how early you knew that art was a thing for you?
She was interested in my drawings, and I never went outside in winter. There was a big hill near our house, and all the other kids had been on the hill. So I did once in the back and I was upstairs. And then my sister, she didn't adopt. She adopted 2 children. One was became a nurse, the first black nurse at Connellsville Hospital, which I thought was kind of strange and stuff. But then there's another girl that she raised, and she bought a house in Detroit. So I could go to Detroit in the summers and leave Western Pennsylvania. And it was a whole different atmosphere for me to go there because I ran into people like Stevie Wonder and Marvin Gaye, and all the great musicians in the world existed at that time in Detroit. So I had a good time there, and I felt that maybe I can do something there. So I went to school in Detroit, a place called Society of Arts and Crafts, downtown next door to the Detroit Institute of Arts. And they gave me a scholarship, and I worked there constantly, did a lot of things. And I remember this guy who lived downtown with me, he said, I want to show you something you've never seen before. And I said, okay, fine. So I go with him, and we lay on the lawn and look down into his basement. And there was a woman nude as a fashion model. He was struck with this. It turned out to be Mel Jackson and the Modern Jazz Quartet. And I said, I see this every day. I did art school. He never saw that before, which I thought was very peculiar for someone to spend their time doing something like that. And a window, a nude woman, so I didn't understand. But it was kind of peculiar for me to exist like that. And I went to school there, and I said one day, I'm going to New York City, they over Detroit. And I went to New York, and I don't know exactly what happened. I got this job at the Guggenheim Museum by mistake. And then all of a sudden, they put me in charge of the Calder situation, because Calder's had a retrospective at the Guggenheim Museum. And they wanted someone who was able to hang from the middle of the Guggenheim. So Frank Lloyd Wright came and he won't take this guy, which I thought was strange. And I felt bad about it because I was black, and then all of a sudden, all the people at the Guggenheim were saying, "You need lunch with us." And they just told me, I'm very important people who want to marry to Paul McCartney. And he said, "We can have lunch there together." And I did the lunch thing with him, and then it still didn't feel right to me. So I left the Guggenheim. And I went back to Detroit, and I got this letter in the mail, a big check from someone called Pearl's Galleries. Klaus Pearl sent me a check saying, "Please come back to New York City and work for us." I came back to New York City, I had no place to live. I went to the gallery, and just said, "Here's your check, and we want you to buy some groceries in Bloomingdale's." We were in the county. I'm not interested in Bloomingdale's. There's a place called London, which is a great theater, so I went to London. So I'm getting off the elevator one day, and this woman's walking around in the gallery, and she says to me, "How much is that painting?" And I was looking crazy. And I said, "It's $150,000. She said, I'll buy it." I said, "Good." So I took it to the office and took the person and said, "You can sell paintings." So from that point on, I was dressed up in Langdon clothing, selling paintings and pearls, which was pretty interesting to me. And it went on from there. So there's that.
Okay, so that was, Peter got to New York in 1968, and as he just mentioned, went pretty much straight to work for Pearl's Galleries, which was up on the Upper East Side. It was kind of a, 77th and Madison. So it was kind of a big deal at the time. And he stayed there until 1975. And we were going through a lot at that point in time. And so was the art world. The Whitney put on an exhibition that was boycotted, and that was early 70s. And at that time, Peter was asked by the Demonil Foundation, by John Demonil in particular, to put on a show called, what wound up being called the Deluxe Show, which was in the Fifth Ward of Houston, which was a very poverty-stricken area. It's called the Bloody Fifth at one point. So what I'd like Peter to talk about is when Demonil first asked him to do the show, he said, "Why me? I'm very busy at Pearl's." Peter was traveling all over Europe selling Calders and Picassos, and didn't really feel he had the time, but when John Demonil called again, Peter said yes, he would do it, except that it had to be a fully integrated show. And that's what the Deluxe is known for now. So Peter, can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I'm trying to think back. Sean was kind of a kid guy. And he asked me about doing a show for him. He had done a show earlier with Larry Rivers, which was a bullshit show. Seriously, it was the worst exhibition I've ever seen in my life. I decided to put some black people in the exhibition that had never been seen before. And all the white artists refused to be in the show. Won't do this show for any circumstances. Kermit Greenberg came in and shut the door. Once Greenberg showed up, the flow came down. We did a shot of transporting myself back and forth from Houston to New York to Paris on a constant basis. And not outside of Paris to call this place, it was kind of boring. But we did the exhibition. Didn't know how it would go down, but it was kind of interesting because the people that were in the exhibition had never been heard of or seen before. So Ken Nolan decided he was going to be in the exhibition. Nolan just set it up so that Olitsky wouldn't be in the exhibition. And Nolan put one of his paintings of Olitsky's in the exhibition. Olitsky refused to be in the exhibition. Larry Combs was the only white person allowed to be in the exhibition. Dan Christensen did it because, who knows, but they all did it. And it turned out the right way. There was another artist, I can't remember his name, who really had breakdown at the Museum of Modern Art about this exhibition. He really swore I was a brains horrible person. I can't think of his name right now, but I can't. But what was the other part of the question? What was the other part of the question?
Was it in response to the Whitney show that got boycotted, or was it just something that you felt strongly you had to do?
The Whitney exhibition, the director of the Whitney, Dudley was his name, he would come to Boston and spend hours trying to ask me to suggest people to be in this exhibition. The only black artist I knew, other than who he was talking about, was Nathaniel Hunter Jr. And he got into the exhibition. Meanwhile, he camped outside of the Whitney across the street. The whole time it was going on, which was pretty peculiar. But Dudley was a very strange person. He was scared to death to do this exhibition. I refused to do it, and then they started this demonstration about it. It's still bad news. The art was terrible. They had no. I saw art laying on the floor taking much of an exhibition. That's how dumb it was. We have things leaning against the wall, laying on the floor. It's just unreal. And they accepted that bullshit, you know, the black artists, because they were delighted to be in the Whitney Museum, which I think is a mistake.
So that was a very important exhibition. People are realizing now that was one of the first fully integrated exhibitions. There were 19 artists, and 8 of them were black. One was a Mexican-American woman, and the rest were white. In the 1980s, Peter's life takes a radical turn. He leaves New York City, which is a huge thing. It's where many artists want to be, and Peter had already been a curator. He'd been associate director at Gross for 6 years. He showed in Emmerich. He had 6 shows in Emmerich. And so what was it like when you went to South Africa?
It's terrifying. It was just really scary. I remember there was a person from the studio. I went there to paint, but I realized it was not capable for me to paint at that time there. So I went to pick out some steel. And there was a woman and her husband that owned the steel yard. And I went to the steel yard, and it was very peculiar. There was this little black guy that was following me around all the time. And I had photographs of me in the steel yard. And I was standing behind a piece of steel, and there was a photograph that was 45 automatic or whatever it was. The secret police, they would follow me all around the steel yard, which scared the hell out of me. It was very dangerous. Then one night I was sitting outside, and this is how dark Johannesburg gets. I was just close to a person, and I didn't know there was someone sitting next to me on the lawn. And all of a sudden he spoke to me. It scared the hell out of me. I was terrified. I said, what is going on now? He said, oh, I just wanted to say hello. My name is such and such a person, and I'm an artist. I said, okay, can you speak to me in my life somewhere so to see what you're doing or whatever, what your art looks like. And he said, no, I will at some point. They gave me an assistant named Enthusa Satriatrus. And she said, one day we're riding in the car, and this man is leaning down talking to someone in the car. She said, you see that person there? It's part of the secret police. They're watching you very closely. Which also scared me. Then we went to this place, downtown Johannesburg, a room with all these blueprints were on the wall. And the blueprints were dated in the 50s. And the person who owned the place was telling me he was an architect. I said, you're lying, scary. This is something scary going on here. He was feeding these Africans alcohol and drugs, and all of a sudden, he disappeared, and 2 people were killed. Then another time, I was in a restaurant, and the same person threw another person 2 stories out of the window and killed them. So it was time for me to leave Johannesburg, I felt. But Desmond Tutu designated the piece of sculpture to Johannesburg. It's called the Silver Line. And it's red, but it's painted silver.
1991, you went on a tour for 1 year with Art Blakey, and it was also when you bought your house right here in Saugerties, or right next door in Saugerties. So can you tell us a little bit about what role has music played in your life? And it really, you've been acquainted with music, it's been important to you ever since your childhood. So can you talk about that a little bit?
There's a thing called the Green Book. It was designed to tell white people where black people were playing in America. My mother used to have a Green Book, but she had this 27-room house, and the train station was very close to us. So major musicians came through our house to say hello and so forth, so on the way to Pittsburgh to perform. And Blakey was one of them, but he was from Pittsburgh. He played piano at first, then all of a sudden he became a drummer. And Ahmad Jamal was another one. And there were a few other musicians that came out of that situation too. Miles he was from St. Louis, but he was in Detroit. I met him in Detroit. The X-Time, Billy X-Time band, X-Time was from Detroit. And Ahmad Jamal was from Detroit. So all these people came to our house on a constant basis. And my mother brought her brother to Connersville, Pennsylvania. He was 6'6" or 6'4", something like that. And he was her color, and he had bright red straight hair. He would not go to a black barber shop. He didn't assume he was a black person. And Miles was in our house one time with Blake and a few other people, and he said, "You're as ugly and nasty as your ugly black father there, Miles Davis." That's where that came from. Miles never disputed that. What did I know? I was adopted, I didn't know the deal. And it was a pretty funny situation after that. Throughout the years, it went on and on and on. And I saw Miles many times in Detroit and in Europe and everywhere else. And with Aretha Franklin, who I knew in Detroit very well, and I saw in the south of France a lot, and we traveled around. She showed me a lot of different situations that were going on in the music world.
Peter, when you paint, you're always listening to music. Does the music inspire what you paint, or do you just enjoy listening to music?
I don't know if I enjoy it. I like music better than another person in my studio because the sound system's great, and I can actually work off what they're trying to do because I think the same way they think. And some of the names of music is pretty extraordinary, which indicate what I'm thinking at the same time.
In 2002, Peter won the Paula Krasner grant. And also in the 2000s, there seemed to be a renewed interest in the deluxe show and in Peter specifically. Steve Cannon did a review for Tribes magazine. In 2017, the Squire Foundation in California had Peter for a residency. And then in 2017, there were some articles written, and there was one on hyperallergic. How was the residency for you at the Squire?
He worked very hard, and I didn't realize people didn't understand what abstract art was until I went to California. They had no idea what painting was about. They had little ladies and little guys doing things, By the time we got there, they realized abstract art might be something worthwhile. And we had a good time. And it's a very important situation. I mean, the Squire Foundation is owned by a man who never put clothes on, I understand. He walked around naked all the time. But he died. And it was bought by some people that really have a lot of money. And they're doing great things at the Square Foundation. I suggest anyone who get to Santa Barbara look them up. It's a big deal.
So Peter, today a lot of people, they have been reading some articles. There's a lot of emphasis on bringing the Black people into the art world, bringing more women into the art world, basically people who have been disenfranchised. How do you feel as a Black man doing abstract art and not doing art that relates specifically to the Black situation?
Well, I think the prices of anything is bullshit. I think most of the paintings that they're doing, some of them are beautifully done, but why bother? Why bother to do just paint? And abstraction is the key to success. The rest of it to do.
Can you talk about how important color and texture is in your painting?
Color supersedes every matter, regardless of what you're doing. I don't care where it is, what you're thinking about. Color supersedes every matter, and paint supersedes it. That's all there's to it.
Yeah, I was fortunate enough to paint with Peter just yesterday, actually. And the first thing, if we look over here, actually, Peter, I'm going to let you explain. You do staining. He throws paint at the canvas. He has huge canvases that are set up outside the house. They get rained on, and nature plays an important part because leaves fall on them. And the first time I saw one, I said, Peter, there's rainwater in your painting. And he's like, yeah, so what? And I'm like, okay.
Golden paint is magnificent paint. It's water-based paint, and it will stain certain ways. You can put canvas that rain on. It doesn't make a difference. Water and paint go together. It's water-based paint, and the color is extraordinary.
Why don't you talk a little bit about how you met Sam Golden and how important that relationship is to you?
One day he was telling me that he couldn't sell his paint. He had a whole car full of paint, station waiting for paint. And I said, I'll give you $1,000 for it. And he said, cool, I'll take it. And from that day on, I used Golden paint. And that's good.
Dart, in 1971, I've already talked about the deluxe show, but 2 years ago, an art historian called Darby English wrote a book called 1971, A Year in the Life of Color. A large part of that book was devoted to what Peter Bradley had done with that exhibition. And one thing that Darby said really struck with me. He said that this is painting that doesn't need you. And that meant a lot to me because it's just painting that Peter does because he loves painting so much. Not to please anybody and not to add to the canon, so to speak, but just because he loves it.
Well, it doesn't pay the bills, but it does something every day that you can free. You can go to work every day. You don't have to ask anyone to go to work. You can go to work and do something you're thinking about without getting paid for it, but you do get paid by doing it.
So before we open it up to questions, I'm going to ask Peter one more question that I actually asked you yesterday, which was, when have you been happiest in your life?
Every day of my life. I spent 7 days in the hospital a couple of weeks ago, and I was happy then, so I'm happy today to all you people here. Thank you for coming.
Yeah, the question was, when did Peter start painting abstract painting? When did he start doing abstract work?
I think the second I came to New York City, after leaving Detroit, and abstract. You know, when I got away from engraving and drawing, it went to abstraction, I think. Excellent. Then the color setting and golden painting produced that. Because there's another, Grumbacher. Grumbacher was not doing anything with paint for me. It was always paint too hard to dry, spray it, just the finish of it. So I think that's where it happened.
Question is, has Peter ever done live music as a live improv?
I have a great sound system, and it's seriously live. I was trying to look at them, make wrinkles on their face, and frown, play a little play. They can listen to it freely. Thank you.
Being in the Hudson Valley, does that influence how he paints? But I'll expand on that a little bit. Being in Saugerties, living in your house, and being so close to nature, how does that affect what you do?
It helps out a lot. I see a lot of things, you know. I mean, I saw redbirds today, and I saw a dead snake yesterday. Beautifully colored, dead rattlesnake. A rattlesnake. So real. And the sunlight is beautiful. And in New York City, you can't see anything but sun next to you. We have an apartment in Manhattan, and it's just stones. But I'm from the country, so I understand it, and I'm delighted to be here.
Okay, what influenced you to spend your entire life doing art?
No choice. No choice at all.
No choice, a compulsion. Those of us who are artists know all about it. What artists influence?
Well, I met Picasso, and I met Calder, and Bart, and the Spanish artists, and Diego Rivera, all of them. I mean, I had no idea. I didn't want to be a musician because I took her back musicians in Monmouth. They looked like it was famous, but they were starving at the cabin all over the world like fools, making no money. And I did not understand the money situation because my mother set it up where I didn't understand money at all ever, and I still don't. You know, if I had 20 cents and you had 10 cents, I had more money than you had, that's it. Just not interested. Something I can think of. What would you think?
What would I think of?
What do you think about the question you asked?
The influence the artist that influenced me?
Yeah.
I think my biggest influence was Rothko.
Rothko spent most of his time talking to me, and I think he's the one that put me onto the did else. I spent days with Rothko at all times. He was a very strange person. And I'll tell you something, I've been around some strange people that have influenced me. Like there's a guy named Carlos, an architect, and we saw the World Trade Center go down together. He's become an important artist.
Okay, having worked in the art world in the past, do you understand how it works now?
How it works the same way it's always worked. You know, I have it for sale, and you can buy it if you're smart enough to buy it. I can advertise it enough to make you think it's important, whether it is or not. And you look back in the 50s and 60s, who were the advertising? The great important abstract artists, Larry Rivers, on and on and on. You can tell you, they were bullshit. It didn't happen. So what do you, I don't know about the art dealer situation. It's a better deal if you want to be an art dealer. You can be a liar up front. You can be an art dealer and make money online.
What's your process in painting?
I have no idea. I work every day. Simple as that. You have to put the paint down to see what you're doing. If you don't put it down, you don't know what you're doing. Subject to secrecy, exception at all times. Yes. Yes.
In the firehouse in New York City. I want to give you a picture.
It was a standard white firehouse, outrageous place. It was stolen from me in New York, and I decided I would never live in Manhattan again. I had 3 lawyers, and I paid all of them to give them to somebody else and walk away from it. I couldn't have handled it anyway. I mean, God, the taxes on the place must be outrageous at this point. But it was a great place, and I got things done. I had a child there, and got married there, and I loved it. It's my period of life.
You miss it.
I know, I don't miss it. I don't miss anything. And if you miss something, you got a picture. It's like playing baseball. If you miss it, so.
When I was a little kid, I knew what I liked. You know, music, art, whatever, I knew it. And then as I got older, it looked like you were supposed to like certain stuff according to, you know, what the public said, or what magazines said. You never heard Dizzy Gillespie or Duke Ellington said, if you like it, it's good. Now, do you prescribe to that?
I'm still trying to figure out Duke Ellington. But I do understand Earl Gardner and then old Blake Easton and Miles Davis. Coltrane is still a strange to all. Music is the way for everyday life. You know, working at Pearls did a lot of things for me, you know. Here's one thing it did for me. It let me know that I had a special sense of what was going on, regardless of who I was talking to, regardless of how famous they were, how rich they were. I knew something they didn't know. I remember Kirk Douglas coming in, and he would, for Gutter Garbo, they would never say a word. Because Because they didn't know what the fuck to say. Simple as that. So I felt edible.
That was, do you ever have an end result when you start a piece of work?
No end results are in mind. And some things I look at that I have to say that I don't like. I made a mistake. But I continue on. Every day I continue on. Every day.
Are there really mistakes?
Hmm?
Are there really mistakes?
There's never a mistake. If you're doing it, how can there be a mistake? The mistake is you when you don't do it.
Yes, Richard?
But, sorry. Whatever painting can't be equally good. So nothing's a mistake, but so how do you know?
He's saying every painting can be equally good.
He's absolutely right. And I paint every day, and what's good, I think, I let to be better to someone else. My wife is a very look at things. I don't pay much attention to it.
Do the titles come at different times?
Yeah, they come from different moods and different thinking, but titles, I must admit, are my titles, most of them come from great things that most people don't understand. I know a title today called, someone wrote it, I don't know who wrote it, but it's a beautiful piece of music. That may not be the title of it, I suppose.
Have you always painted with acrylic? Like, what did you use before a sample that came along?
Yeah, when I became an adult, it's always been acrylic, but I've used other things also. I'm not sure they use, but I use other things to make color. Anything makes color, put it down. Charcoal can make color. You can put things down. Anything that you're thinking about as a color, that you can make sure you put it down on a piece of canvas and make it stay there. And that's color. Now, any other way you're thinking about it is bullshit. You know what I mean? So give it a try. Just, you can take a piece of charcoal, step on it, and then freeze it there. It's a color.
Okay, did you have a circle of friends that you worked with?
Yeah, Kenneth Nolan's the closest person I worked with, and Randy Bloom, and things like that. But, you know, there are people that work on their own. Norton worked on his own, Judy Fesh worked on her own. Different names mean nothing. I mean, they do what they do, I do what I do. And you hope to get together some kind of way. And if it doesn't happen, you keep going. You know. But I do realize one thing, a lot of famous people have no idea what art is. And I just have to talk to them all day long, every day. Some of those famous people that all of us know have no idea what art is.
Yeah, that's a problem we all face. Anyone else have a question? Yeah.
You work with your own pieces?
I'm sorry, I can't
Do you
hear you.
ever go back and revisit?
No, never. He's older now, that's it. No, I never go back to anything. You know, I think maybe it's still sculpture. I'm making sculpture at the same time. I think probably the sculpture gives me a chance to go back and say, I can do this, I can do that. But painting, never. That's a waste of time.
Any other questions? Sure. Do you have any desire to become part of the Black artist movement in the 60s and 70s?
I've been ignored as a black artist all my life. I am black, you can see that in New York too. But the reality is, I've been ignored by that whole type of situation. My name may be Peter A. Bradley changes me from being Jacob Johnson or something.
But did you have a desire to be a part of that movement or those artists?
I've never decided to be anything other than who I am. I've never decided to be a part of anything that exists other than what I do every day of my life, regardless of my color or my thinking. Now, I'm thinking as a black artist, I think we invented abstract art, okay? Simple as that.
No.
And Picasso, to tell the truth about it, because Apollinaire stole that piece from the Louvre.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the deal.
All righty, and I want to thank everybody for coming. Thank you, Peter.